is here. Hey, Q. You know that a long time ago, real long time ago, nobody died. People never died. When they got older, then they shed off their old skin and they got new skins and they became like children again and life started all over again. And nobody knew death, and death lived so far away in the deep forest. And then all of a sudden, there was famine. That meant that it was not raining. No rains were falling. And that meant that the little seeds that the farmers had kept to sow, they had to eat them. And so there was no food being sown, no crops, and a lot of people were hungry. And Nancy's family was also hungry for a long time. And everywhere you went, people were searching for food. And if they found food, the price was so high, they couldn't even buy it. Then Anansi decided he was going to find some food. So he walked and walked and walked into the deep forest. Then he came to a small village. And when he came to the village, he tried to find out if there was anybody there because he didn't see any kids, he didn't see anybody. So he shouted and said, "Ago!" And if somebody says "Ago," what's the response? What's the response? Amen. That means I'm here. And he shouted "Ago," and there was no amen. And he kept shouting, there was no amen. Then he saw one of the huts. The door was open. So Anansi went inside. And when he went inside, he was just shocked because there was a lot of gold on the floor of the hut. Gold and diamonds, all kinds of jewelry. And Anansi started shouting again, "Ago!" just to make sure that somebody was there. He didn't see anybody. He came out, he looked around, he didn't see anybody. So he went back into the hut and looked for a big sack and found it, and he packed all the diamond and all the gold he could find and filled it to the brim. He couldn't even carry it. So he had to drag it. And Anansi dragged the gold through the forest. Dragging it with all his 8 legs. Dragging it. And when he got home, his children helped him and he put it under his bed. And then all of a sudden, Anansi had become rich and his family had become rich. It was like he won a lottery. And so they could find any food they wanted, they could buy any clothes. They had a big house now. They had a Mercedes-Benz. So they were rolling in cash. But when Death came home and Death went into his room, he realized he has been robbed. And Death was mad. And Death decided to find out who did this. And he just looked at the track of the gold of the sack that Anansi had pulled and just followed the trail and figured out who Anansi was and where his house was. So he went there and demanded his wealth right away. But you know what happened? Anansi acted like he was mad, that he was being accused of something he hadn't done. So he told his servants, "Beat him to death." So the servants started beating up Death, and you know what Death did? Death just started whistling. And all the servants of Anansi died right there. And Anansi ran away and went and hid in the next village, and Death chased him there. And the way Death chased him was Death has a good nose, so he could smell. And he smelled Anansi to that village. But when Anansi got there, he told all the strong men in the village, "Look, I got this money, I'll give you. Any one of you, if you see Death, just kill him." So when Death got to the village, all the young men and strong men, they were waiting for Death. And they started fighting against Death, beating up Death, and Death started his whistling. And everybody died. And Anansi ran away to the next village. And every village Anansi ran to, death chased him. And many, many people died. Then finally, he ran away and got to the village of the elephants. And when he got to the elephants' village, he told them what the story was. He didn't tell them the whole truth. And the elephant said, okay, don't worry. When death comes, we will deal with it. And here they saw death coming. So the elephants pinned death down with their trunk. And they tied him on a big tree, baobab tree. And as they were doing that, they thought they had finished. And then she thought, oh, now I got him. Death started blowing his whistle again. And once he started blowing the whistle, all the ropes that the elephants had tied on him got all loosened up, and the elephants fell down and died. And Anansi really didn't know what to do, so he started running all kinds of different directions in the forest trying to hide. Then he went to a place where there was just one building. And in that building lived a very powerful medicine man. So this medicine man, Anansi went to him and said, please help me, I got all the money you need. And the medicine man said, just cool down. What is it? And Anansi told him the story. And the medicine man said, don't worry. I've got this medicine. You take, you'll be strong, and you won't fear anybody. You'll be brave. And then all you have to do is, once you've taken this medicine and you hear death blow the whistle, you blow the same tune. And let's see what's going to happen. And so Anansi took the medicine, and now he felt brave and strong. And then here comes death looking for Anansi and looking for his wealth. And as soon as Anansi saw death, death also saw Anansi. So death started blowing his whistle. And Anansi also started blowing whistle at the same time. And because Anansi blew the whistle, the tune that death had, when death had it, he died. Death fell down and died. And Anansi was so happy. And then, when the man gave him the medicine, he gave him another medicine where he had to go back to all the villages, all the places where people had died, and sprinkle the medicine on them so that they would get up. So Anansi started going back to all the villages, sprinkling the medicine on everyone that had died, and they all came back to life. And Anansi had to return with the rest of the medicine to the medicine man. So he was running so that he could go back home and look after his cash and look at his family. But when he was going, he tripped on a log. He tripped on a piece of wood in the forest, and the medicine fell from his hands, and some of it spilled on death. And Death woke up. Death woke up again and started chasing on Anansi. And Anansi ran away, and Anansi has been hiding. And Death is still looking for him. He can't find him yet. Anansi is hiding in corners. So now Death is mad. So he keeps on killing other people. Because he can't find Anansi, and he's so frustrated. But you know why we have Easter, right? Because Jesus rose from the dead. And Jesus went down to the place of the dead and defeated death. So you and me, because we believe in Jesus, because Jesus is our friend, it means all our sins are forgiven. It means that death has no power over us. Just like Jesus died and God raised him up, so we also will be raised up from the dead. That's why we celebrate Easter. Okay? So death used to be so powerful, but death is no longer powerful. So that even though you may die, you die only to live again. Okay? Thank you.